call the August 21st Apex Environmental Advisory Board meeting to order as we have established a quorum. It's great to see you all back here again. Congratulations on surviving the hottest July on record in the Triangle area, according to the North Carolina State Climate Office.
Until next year.
Right, exactly, there's always next year. So let's just jump right in. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the July 2025 meeting. There was a revised version that Nora sent out earlier this morning. I hope you all had an opportunity to review that. Otherwise, is there a motion to approve?
I move that be approved.
John?
I'll second it.
Okay. Nanjiri, is there any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Next up, we have announcements from Nora.
Yes, so Suzanne is presenting at Town Council next Tuesday, the 26th, about our native plant resolution. Hopefully we can get something working with that, added to our UDO.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have a rezoning case, 25 CZ10 Welch Homestead PUD.
Good evening, Matthew Carpenter with Parker Poe, 301 Fayetteville Street, here this evening on behalf of Lennar, who's the developer of this site. Also with me are David Bergmark and Nick with McAdams, civil engineer and planning, and available for any questions. So this is the Welch Homestead PUD, which is a large residential planned community, so large master plan community. It's a PUD. I know most of the larger residential projects you see in Apex are PUDs, and so nothing unusual there. The site is a large farm tract with 3 parcels that total about 83.5 acres. It's in the southwestern area of town, so we're on Old US 1, down near the New Hill area. You can see to the north of us there are a lot of established and recently developed subdivisions. The Woodbury subdivision, Jordan Manors, Belterra, and then a little further to the west, Jordan Point. You can see the New Hill Commons PUD I have called out just to the west of us. You may remember that case. That was approved earlier this year. I think it came before y'all maybe this time last year, and that was the commercial grocery store rezoning case there at the corner of Old US 1 and New Hill Holloman Road. So just to give you some context of what's in this area. As you move south, between US 1 and Old US 1, there are still a lot of larger rural tracts there. But north of Old US 1, it really is more of a suburban character and then transitions to the south. And so the existing zoning here is R40 Wake County, R40W. And so the property is in Wake County's planning jurisdiction. And so we filed an annexation petition with our rezoning request that if the rezoning is approved, the annexation will also be approved to annex the property into the town limits. Even though you can see most of the subdivisions adjacent to us are PUDs that are in the Apex town limits. So sort of an interesting dynamic there where you have the edge of the town limits, but also surrounded by properties that have already been developed in Apex. And again, the zoning district that we're proposing is PUD, Plan Unit Development Conditional. And we have a couple land use map designations here. Medium density residential, which you can see in yellow there along the tract at the top right of your screen there. And then commercial services / medium density residential to the left. And so, the medium density designation calls for a mix of housing types, And then those red stripes call for some commercial uses. And you can see those sort of extend from the intersection there at New Hill Holloman Road and Old US 1. And so the land use map sort of envisions that intersection as the commercial corridor. And then it shows adjacent properties sort of going down in density and intensity as you move away from that intersection. And for context, the New Hill Commons case was right here. So that's where the planned grocery store is. So you can see that commercial office designation there, and then, you know, density sort of going down as you leave that intersection. And then another point on the long-range plans, there was a small area plan done for New Hill, a New Hill small area plan that was pretty recent, and that was for this area south of Old US 1. And you know, there was a lot of public input in that process, and a lot of New Hill residents want that area to stay more rural, but that plan did not include this property or property north of Old 1. And so we took the land use map, like we try to do, into consideration when we developed our concept plan. So this is out to about 3.3, considers 3 units an acre that's in yellow here. Put closer to that. Also in transition density, we get our staff comments back tomorrow. So we haven't made a lot of changes to this plan yet. You see the sort of funky as parkland dedication. So that won't be developed. Because, I mean, it's really not developable, but also we thought that would be a good use there. You can see we've called out several streams that have riparian buffers, one that crosses east-west here, another on the left side of your screen here, and then, you know, a smaller end of a stream here just on the northern property line. We will have the RCA requirement here is 30%. So that'll be around, I believe, 25 acres, give or take, of RCA. The site is wooded, so we have plenty of RCA to conserve. And then our...
Matthew, can we go back there?
Sure,
For one
yeah.
second, if I can ask you a question.
Absolutely.
It looks like you're doing all housing, but the land use plan looked like it had the red stripes going
That's right.
into this area, which indicates that you should have a percentage of commercial of some sort.
That's
Are
right.
you going to try for not having that at all? Is that what the game
We're
plan
not
is?
proposing any commercial, and again, that's because of the commercial development approved that's around that closer to the intersection. So, you know, that's not to say we couldn't evaluate some sort of commercial here, but there are a lot of these PUDs in Apex anyway, historically, where there's a large residential area, and they say, well, you know, this area is going to be commercial, but there's not a lot practically that can go there from a market standpoint. So that's the thinking there, that the housing is better in that particular location, the townhomes that will add rooftops for the grocery and retail opportunities that are coming at the intersection.
Well, that argument was made for Viridia also, and as time went by, Viridia is getting much more commercial.
Right.
And the idea of having that area to be some sort of commercial was that there would be a live work to a degree, and chopping more off, I'm just going to say we don't have anything to do with this actually, but chopping that off is just defeating the idea of trying to have a live work place environment.
Yeah, and you can see too, part of the issue is the lack of frontage on Old US 1. So you
Lack
see
of what, did you say?
the lack of road frontage for visibility for commercial. And so, you know, to get access, we would have to go through, probably for commercial anyway, we would have to go through this side, and there's not great visibility. And then I don't know how these neighbors would feel about commercial use there either. So
Depends on what it is, I
Right.
think.
Right.
And commercial use, as you know, has a much larger buffer than
Right.
house to house.
Right. And so just to go through quickly, the conditions we've already added, obviously we'll hear your recommendations and evaluate those, after this meeting. But we have added these 4, the 1 sign per SCM to reduce pet waste, 60% of landscaping shall be native species, at least 1 pet waste station per 25 residential units. And then we have increased buffers in certain locations where a 15-foot buffer was required, and we've widened that to 20 feet. Like I said, these are subject to change, things like the buffers as we move through the reviews process. So
Why did you go from A to B when you went to 20 feet?
sometimes, David Bergmark can answer that maybe better, but I know sometimes in these scenarios when there's existing vegetation, the type A standard is so dense that you have to clear more to put in the plantings, and so sometimes the type B works better when there are trees already there.
I've heard that argument. No, I'm just asking, you see 15-foot type A and then go to 20-foot type B. In terms of buffer, in terms of visual, you've probably gone down rather than up by going to a type B, 20-foot type B from a 15-foot type A.
Okay. Well,
And that's what the idea of the buffers are to a good extent, is for toning these things down in terms of visual.
Yeah, and I think, again, part of the goal with those buffers is not to pack in new plantings under existing trees, that could cause issues. So I've seen that in other cases, not this one, but
I've heard it in other cases. I still kind of don't believe it.
okay.
One thing I noticed on the GIS map is there seem to be a couple of streams that feed into the retention ponds in the subdivision to the west. It's not showing up on your sketches. It's I guess the Raleigh-Wake County GIS map.
You mean some blue line streams they're showing on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know sometimes those maps, I've seen streams that are shown on there that aren't jurisdictional, and then I've seen ones that are not shown on there that are. So, but I know we'll be required to treat our runoff on site. So, we can't.
Well, that's what was my concern, that
Right.
There's a potential, I think, a good potential that there'll be some runoff going into those retention ponds that you probably need to address.
Yeah, and like I said, the UDO requirement is that all of our runoff has to be treated on our property, and so I'm assuming that will be part of the stormwater pond design at subdivision that we don't have yet because we're just at the concept plan stage.
And what year storm are you required to have here?
I believe it's 10 years, the UDO requirement.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we haven't added a condition to increase that, but again, that's primarily due to we haven't designed the ponds yet. So, we're happy to evaluate whatever the recommendations are.
Frankly, that's a good time to add the condition before you design the pond, so that you know where you're heading.
Right.
And a pond for a 25-year storm is not that much bigger than a 10-year storm.
Right.
It's not 2.5 times. It's like 20%,
Right.
30%. It's not much bigger.
And if we get a 100-year storm, it doesn't matter. It's just going to all
It'll flow
go
right through.
anyway
Yeah.
to preserve the facility. All right, so we do have, I saw the dates on your documents that you submitted, and we do have a new form for the zoning conditions that's different than the one you all submitted, but it probably wasn't out yet at the time that this application came through.
Okay.
And everything's basically the same, it's just that each condition has been given a unique number, and that's just sort of to speed
I
this
see.
process.
Right. Appreciate that.
So, yeah. So, on what came through to us, it looked like you had condition 4, 13, and 27.
Right.
And then I haven't located where the perimeter buffer was.
Yeah, I'm looking at the old form. So when we, just so that y'all know, when we do this, we fill out whatever worksheet is attached to the zoning application, and so we go and we know they change. So every time we go file a new case, we pull it from the town's website.
Okay.
And so that's where we're getting it. And so if there was an older one attached to the rezoning application, then that's what we use.
And it could have been a date thing. Like
Right.
ours is actually, I'm not sure if it.
Yeah, I did see it had changed a lot though from other cases. So
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the numbers. You're right.
Right, yeah, so let's see, so the numbers for the increased buffer, let's go ahead and find that one, just so we can make sure we're all on the same.
That would be goal 7.
Goal
Uh,
7.
Well, no, not
No.
necessarily, no.
Let's see. And Nora, would it be possible to put up real quick, so they could see what we're looking at as well?
Would it help to
I think
pull up
it's-
our
it's
PDF
20
that we submitted?
22.
22,
sort of.
yes, 22, that's it.
This
Easy
is the
enough?
new one,
Oh, okay.
but then let me find.
I snuck up on you.
Allergy season coming here.
Welcome to North Carolina.
This one, that's yours, and then if you wanna reference ours, it's this time.
Okay. Well, what would be easiest? Would it be
So could you just go through the one that you filled out?
That's what I was
and-
thinking.
And see which
Yep.
ones you have there?
yes?
Um,
I think
There's the SEM. So,
I matched them up if you'd like to know.
Oh, okay, wait, let me hold you up right here. John has matched them for us.
Okay, that was fast.
Well, it wasn't tonight. The increase of signage is the new goal 4.
Okay,
And then the 60% of landscaping to be native, that is now, that's goal 11, 13. Then the pet stations, that's now goal 27. And then increasing the buffers by 5 feet is goal 22.
and does there need to be a caveat on 22 that it's going from one type to another? I believe so. Okay, so yeah, so it actually says increase the perimeter buffer requirements, especially in transitional areas. The project shall provide X feet of additional buffer width
So it
to
would be
that
5
required
feet.
by the UDO. So we do need to say an additional 5 feet, but it's actually a type B buffer,
Right.
for that one. Okay. So can I poll the board here? What do you all think about the 60%, for the plantings? Usually we have been saying 70 or 75%.
high enough. Yeah.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it's high enough.
Yeah,
You don't
go
think
with
so?
75.
I agree, it's not high enough.
75.
Okay, so we're gonna recommend 75,
75 is not that hard to get to anyhow.
okay. And then about the stormwater ponds. That is new, number 8.
Yeah.
So is it the 10-year event? What do you all think about recommending the 25-year storm? Designing
I
for the
would
25?
recommend 25.
Yep. 25, okay, so
Yeah.
we would like to, recommend number 8 at the 25-year event. Let's see.
I've got a few suggestions.
Please go ahead.
I would also recommend that goal 10, which is replacing the large type trees that measure 18 inches or larger there's gonna be a lot of trees removed from this, and if we can replace the large trees that are taken down, that would be good. Then goal 15, no single species of native or adopted vegetation constitute more than 20% of the plant material. Goal 16, that the HOA covenants do not prohibit clover or native grass mixed species lawns. 17, the HOA covenants do not require that fallen leaves or dormant plants be removed during the winter on areas without turf grass. Goal 20, only warm season grasses. And then goal 23, which is related to signage in the RCA areas.
So that one's sort of a
A
you
or
pick.
B, yeah.
Yeah,
A or B.
whatever works best in the context of the project.
Yeah, this RCA signage is always one that, I go back and forth about. They're natural areas, do we want to pluck a sign in there, or is it worth it to keep people, from damaging them?
It's the latter.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I worked off of his list, but I can do the solar aspect now that we have the number of houses. Okay, goal 16. I'd recommend goal 16A, solar PV system of at least 3.5.
Bill, I'm sorry to stop you. 16, we're getting, that's the old.
That's the old one.
That's
That's the old one. I worked off of his.
Okay,
I'm sorry, that's
working
all
off
I've
the
got.
old one. Okay, so yours is, go ahead and start off with the language and we can tell you what the new number is.
And I'm noting the language so I can reconcile both documents too. Yeah.
Or if you just
After
wanna
this.
check off the new
Two
form.
compartments.
Right.
Okay, a solar PV system of at least 3.5 kilowatts shall be installed on at least 27 units, which is 10%. We've been here before. The thing is, from a roof standpoint, typically you can install them on easily 25% and more like 50% and still have good productivity. So 10% is really picking off the best of the roofs. Now in our old,
Could we limit that, Mr. Jensen, to the single family? The townhomes are where we have the biggest issue, doing that. And I'll talk to Lennar about it, but.
how many single family do you have?
We don't have the exact split, but the whole red district
50 some.
are townhomes. Let's see
See the
here. Yeah.
Do you know, like, percentage-wise what that makes?
Yeah, we have a range in the PUD. Let me pull that out here. We have 270 units maximum total, and then the breakdown we have now is a minimum of 105 single family and a maximum of 140. And so if we build 140 single family, then obviously 130 will be townhomes. So it could be 50-50.
So
in terms of
what
the
you're
unit
asking
count.
is if it's 140, then if we do 10%, it's 14 units.
Right, or even if whatever percentage it is,
If
that
you
it
promise
comes
you-
out of
if
single
they promise they'll do it, I'll go with the 14.
Well, I can't promise anything for them tonight, but I'll pass on your
Yeah,
strong suggestion.
I know what that happens. I know which circular file it goes into.
Not mine.
Oh, I know.
Why not just go with 10%
That's what well,
of the total? So that way, if they have to put it all on the single
can do that too.
It's 10% of the total.
we can do 10% of the total. That would be fine. I'd be happy with that. On the townhomes, while we're here, it's important that the CCNRs do not prohibit people from putting solar on their houses. And I know people that live in townhomes that want to put it on and they get not nailed with the CCNRs.
I think there's a federal prohibition on that though.
I think there is.
Is there now?
Passed around.
Yeah, I think federal law prohibits you from preventing them from doing that.
But then it gets complicated.
Right.
If your HOA is responsible.
It's an
for the
ownership
exterior.
issue. Yeah.
It's the
It's
ownership.
the maintenance.
And that's my concern, yeah, is that even if one or two townhome owners want to do it, the roofs are typically maintained by the HOA, yeah.
It is possible, though. I found an agreement from somebody over in the Villages of Apex where they filed an agreement with the county outlining their responsibilities as a townhome owner.
Interesting.
So it's possible.
Thank you, that's great. On the old goal 16, and I'm gonna back off, at least I would, it says the lots on which these homes are located shall be identified on the master subdivision plan. I really don't think that's necessary, so long as you have the percentage. It makes it very difficult for the developer or builder.
So you're saying to modify the
Just to-
full language of the
to just
condition,
remove it.
This is the new number 29.
It's
I'm sorry, 28.
I should have talked
28.
about this before, but and I have brought it up. I just think it's difficult because they're trying to sell these houses, and if somebody wants a house that has solar and it's not designated, it's one of the other houses, then they have to take the designation number off of that other house and put it onto the one that they're selling to somebody that wants solar. So it's just I don't think it's a good thing to have there. So long as we have the percentages and the timeline.
Bill, I'm guessing the reason that was written that way was a staff concern of how do they say that the plan is compliant with the zoning condition.
That's what I was gonna say,
So
Bill.
they can
Yeah.
easily identify.
Yeah, I think
that.
staff,
Enforcement thing. It's an enforcement, I think it's an enforcement thing.
and I'm trying to understand.
But I agree with you practically 100%.
I'm understand. I've heard that, but I don't understand it because so long as they know how many houses have had solar put in, we can leave it. I'm more than happy to leave it if you want it.
No, I'm fine with your suggestion because I think it does give flexibility, and I think it's more likely that solar actually makes it out there if you can give it to the people that want it and not say, well, we're just going to put it on these.
I'd like to bring it up from
20.
1% to 2% probability. All right. Okay, that is that one. Okay, I'd like to, and it's not on this list here, I think might be on our new one, should be, to require 220-volt electrical outlets in every garage. It is in our new one, I think.
Yeah, number 30.
Number 30, thank you.
So is
Oh, and I'm sorry, one more that I missed. Include solar conduit in building design or into the buildings. You had no in there. That's every developer I've seen in the last couple of years now has shook their head yes, because it's
We've added that to a lot of cases.
very inexpensive and it's a selling point. So I'd like to see yes. I don't know what number that is on the new one. I'm sorry.
So for somehow on the new list, it made it sort of as 39, but in non-residential. I don't think that was what we meant.
Yeah, it should be in residential.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's number 39 with amended language to residential.
Yeah, but that just applies to non-residential.
The solar conduit and the 220 volt are kind of, those are nothings to put in and good selling points. Especially with the e-vehicles coming in more.
Right.
Elon Musk would appreciate you.
Do you appreciate Elon Musk though?
That's a second meeting.
Do you all intend to mass grade this property?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be an additional 5% RCA, I believe, RCA.
Correct, under the UDO, and I don't think the PUD modifies that language, but
It does not. It's
right.
So it would be 35%.
That's correct.
And do you anticipate the concept of this development changing at all to incorporate commercial?
No, not right now. But again, we don't even have staff comments back from the first round, so we've got still a few months to go.
So with a PUD, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce, with a PUD, if it meets certain conditions, they can request a reduction in the RCA, correct?
They're able to request alterations to the UDO itself, but I don't see staff being in favor of supporting a reduction in RCA at this time.
Okay.
And I believe that would need to be done in the rezoning too, so we would have to propose that now.
Okay. All right.
I think, Bruce, right? Yeah.
So let's talk about this park space that's across the street. How are you proposing a tunnel, parking places? What's going on with that?
I don't have a lot of context, but I did want to provide a little bit of context. This wasn't something where we came and we said, Apex, we think this is the best place for a park ever. It was actually brought up to us by staff that they had plans that called for this area to be dedicated as park space. And it was basically a request by staff to dedicate this area as park space. And we said, really? Okay, we can do that. I understand your initial reaction.
Yeah, it's on the land use map that way.
Yes, and it is designated on the future land use map. But staff may have, I don't know if there have been any developed plans or concepts or more context to that, but this was essentially a staff request or something that's coming from town adopted plans that staff's informing us of.
In between the railroad tracks in US 1.
Correct.
And so
Very safe spot.
it appears to be,
Suzanne,
Not a lot of
It's
room
like a-
in some of those areas.
it's a linear park where there'll be like a meandering thing through the whole a long length of this in between the track and the road. That's the plan.
So it's not a park like a family park, it's like
It's
a
to walk around in.
park.
Yeah, to walk around in, like a linear park.
how do you get across?
And where do you park to then go to the linear?
Pleasant
Well, and
Park.
so the other thing,
Eventually, I think it'll run all the way up.
Presumably it'll be walkable like from Pleasant Park, I think, all the way down to the end here. That's kind of the idea. And
so it
you
would
would-
be paved.
yeah.
So how can it qualify as RCA then?
Well, I don't think we've gotten far enough in the concept plans. It's more like we're gonna put a little trail through it somewhere.
But I see, so there's a 25-foot right-of-way designation, so that'll take it down to 75 feet wide. And if DOT needs more right-of-way, then we're getting into potentially wiping this thing out entirely, right?
It'd be a parking lot. Maybe a place to park for the other part of the park.
I mean, worst case scenario, I think this area just remains undeveloped. Is what we're showing.
Yeah, it's just a little interesting that it is counting as RCA.
Well, are we?
Is the railroad easement cover any of that area or not?
So I don't know. I don't know if we are counting it as RCA because we don't typically designate RCA. Did we on this plan?
Could we exclude it from counting toward that?
Well, the UDO may already do that with the dimensional requirements. I don't have them in front of me, but it says there's language in there about a minimum size, so that you can't just designate random throwaway parcels as RCA, and so we're happy to look at that, but because it's separated by the road, I don't know if we can count it as RCA anyway. I think it's green on this plan because the town asked it to be park.
I think this part of the area where it's between the railroad and the road and Highway 1, this is one of the most narrow parts of the whole thing. As you come towards the town, I think is where it gets wider. And that's probably what the idea was. Is that correct? Are you aware?
It's an idea that it's a long time idea. You were on the council when
Wandering on.
this idea came around, I think. So,
Look at my age. I can't remember Dan.
You have children.
Oh, hold on, yeah, so we have a question here. Go ahead.
So what protections are for the users of the park from not running onto the railroad? I had a misguided youth. We used to play on the railroad all the time because it's just down the street.
So you would have loved this.
I would love it, but we're in a different world today than 1960. So you kind of have to, protect people from themselves.
So I wanted to add to my comment because as a former municipal planner, I don't want to act like I'm critical of this, although I understand your reaction, your concern about. Think of it a different way. You could think of it as instead of having along US 1 just a standard sidewalk streetscape, you can now have this meandering path that goes through a nicely wooded area. It doesn't, just because we're designating it as park space doesn't mean it has to be what you, yeah, it could be a more natural, passive,
Yeah.
that could actually allow the pedestrians to be further away from US 1 traffic, and so there are benefits, but you have to look at it a little bit different way.
Yeah, my concern was just, you know, the entirety of your property, with the exception of the two little houses, looked like forests. So if this little area was trying to, you know, count as RCA for the development proper, with it being so separated, it just seemed.
Well, and keep in mind, I mean, our RCA is going to be, you know, roughly 25 acres. So that would be I don't remember off the top of my head what the acreage of that is, but it would be a small, that would not be like, oh, most of our RCA is being provided over here. It would be a relatively small percentage of that.
And like I said, it may not meet the minimum standards at all, so we can look at that.
And so I see on the map, you have A, which I think is the single family, and it going north-south, and then there's also a little bit of A over on the western side. Is that also single family, or what is happening there?
Yes, it is. That's something that came out of our discussion with the neighbors, and where we had the townhomes right now, and as Matthew mentioned, we were trying to kind of transition the density a little bit more. But because that existing stub road that we'd be extending is an existing single family residential neighborhood, and some of the comments were made at the neighborhood meeting, we thought that might be to be a little more sensitive to the neighbors, a nice touch to at least just have that small. It wouldn't be many units on that little stretch. Have that extension of their single-family homes connecting to them, and then having the townhomes, they're kind of backing up to the other townhomes, so you have more similar uses. But that was a change that was made when we originally drew this up. We didn't have that. It was a change we made in response to some neighbor comments.
That road hits the stream buffer. This is not a condition, but if that road hits the stream buffer, you may want to.
Yeah,
because that's going to be parallel impacts.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before, unfortunately, but we're stuck between transportation and you all, you know, where oftentimes with these stub streets, neighbors don't want it. You know, we don't care either way, but then it's a required connection under the UDO, and so that's what we're dealing with here. And then if we were to, I don't know how long. Okay, well that property right there isn't developed, but there could also be cul-de-sac issues. You know, if for example we were to push a street all the way out to the road and then stub it at the end, it may not meet the minimum or maximum cul-de-sac length. So we've run into that before too. So all that to say, I don't think we're going to win on not stubbing the street.
Well, I mean, you know, if you stay out of the stream buffer and stay entirely in the upland, your permitting and environmental costs go down.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I mean, you don't need too many permits if you're entirely in the upland. Okay, and what about the road up there in the northwest, the upper northwest?
That's also, well, northwest.
It's like at the top of your, no, if you go up, but not that road, the one that looks like it's already mapped. Keep going up.
A little arrow, double arrow.
Right there, yeah.
Yes, that got some discussion with staff as well, because we saw on GIS that it showed up as though it was a road. It was never actually, there's no road there. It's just a kind of a paper right-of-way, and we think that it was initially planned on, and then as they got into environmental permitting, that got squashed. So the right-of-way line is still there, but to try to extend that road would have, as I'm sure you can tell, a lot of environmental impacts. So we are not showing any connection to that road for that reason. Staff's at least based on those initial conversations, aware of that. So hopefully there's no objection.
So with that one taken off the map there, how many access points will be available?
Count the blue arrows.
What do you mean, to existing already constructed roads?
Right. I mean, how long? I mean, right now, if you built it, how many would be?
You've got a lot of potential.
Eight total stubs are shown, and it looks like 1, 2, 3 of those, 4 if you count our frontage road, are connecting to existing roads. So basically half and half between future development and connecting to existing roads.
And again, those are all UDO requirements. So we have to stub to existing stub streets that are adjacent and to undeveloped parcels that are adjacent for future connections. So so that's the baseline is we have to make those connections unless we ask for some sort of relief in the PUD, and we typically, as a matter of practice, don't do that anymore because transportation wants interconnectivity. So.
Between the little slice of A over on the west and the rest of the townhomes proper, does that have to be a road, or could you make that just a pedestrian connection only, just to minimize some stream crossings?
Again, we could request that it be pedestrian only, but the UDO rule requires a street, I believe, to provide access to that adjacent parcel to the west.
It does require, if I may, and also that the parcel that it connects to, that goes across where it connects to there, is just part of another rezoning that was just approved, the New Hill Olive Chapel Road assemblage. And part of their condition is to build a road that will connect to adjacent property going this way as well. So that's a perceived future connection that we're looking to have.
You're talking about, so there's the road that's existing that's coming down that's almost going parallel to the stream. So not the road that's going west, but the connection that's going east is required?
It'll be a connection going to going west, where those blue arrows, smaller blue arrows are connected.
I'm talking about going east. Like across the stream.
Yeah, because then it would just stop in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, that wouldn't provide
In
connectivity.
area A.
But aren't you saying that it's coming south and then going west?
Well, those are different lots there.
So the one to the
This is the
connection to the
rezoning,
north
right?
connects to Woodbury, Jazzy Street there, and then the other one would connect to the new really approved rezoning right there. Yeah. So if we didn't have a crossing at the stream, there would be no connectivity into the overall development.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
You were asking earlier. Bear with me one moment.
Small
I
letters.
think there was a concern earlier about the road crossing impacting this riparian buffer, but I think that she may have been looking at this easement rather than the right of way that is further over. Maybe.
So there's two arrows next to each other.
Yeah. Let me actually
Down-
point. So
yeah.
your
So
question
that
earlier,
road,
I thought you were.
that road is coming south, correct?
Sorry, I jumped back to an earlier comment
Yeah.
you made where you were concerned about the road
Yeah,
impacting.
so you said that road has
this is
to
not.
be
I just wanted to make sure you were aware that this is not. This is like a sewer easement, I think.
Oh, that's a sewer.
Yes.
Oh,
This is
okay.
the road over here. So when you're
Gotcha.
concerned about proximity to that
Okay.
riparian
That's
buffer,
confusing.
Yeah.
sorry, I'm jumping back to your earlier comment because
Yeah.
now I understood it.
Yeah, but still, I mean, my comment still, does there need to be a going east? Could that just be?
Yeah,
Pedestrian.
again, we can't answer that because staff says yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so we say yes.
Saying it'll be a busy road because there'll be a grocery store on that other side, and a lot of people from these townhomes are going to go right that way to the grocery store. It'll be a full access movement there. I think it's an important connection. I think maybe planning staff would. He's nodding, so yeah.
Well, and it will take some traffic away from Old US 1. That intersection is really difficult at 1 in New Hill Holloman.
Yeah.
Old US 1, New Hill Holloman.
You're saying it'd be like a cut through then in a way?
Well, for folks that live here,
Okay.
you know, they won't have to go out to Old US 1, then turn right, go to the intersection,
So it's
and then
not a cut through.
right.
All right,
Sorry, can we go back to the trees?
absolutely.
Did we align on, so I know we mentioned the size and the diameter, did we align on like a percentage or, I mean,
So that condition that was sort of like an either or condition.
okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The percentage, oh no, it's actually two separate ones.
Yeah.
So this would be condition number 9, is what you're talking?
I think so, yeah.
Um,
Although I'm not sure exactly which.
okay, so John added,
I don't know if my numbers now match up.
No, I was looking at 10.
so John was suggested 10, but you are welcome if number 9 seems important to minimize the environmental impacts. So I don't know if the newer members, in the application, there is number 5, and that says design as for these rezonings in the PUDs, design minimizes environmental impact. And so the proposed conditional zoning districts uses minimization, use minimizes the environmental impacts and protections from significant deterioration of water and air resources, wildlife habitat, scenic resources, and other natural resources. So, number 9 would, if we suggest it and they go forward with it, go towards meeting that goal. So you're welcome to add 9. We would just need to come up with a percentage. So right now they have 35% RCA. Not all of that will probably canopy. So
Right.
yeah.
That's my concern, I guess. I don't know if I have a set percentage necessarily in mind, but
I mean, 30. It could be 35%. We want all. Yeah.
better than 0.
There's going to be a lot of pavement.
Well, it's not 0 because of the RCA.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of pavement and a lot of the canopy removed, just because of the type of development this is. That's one reason why I was recommending goal 10.
I would also recommend adding goal 9, which is the one we're at 35% of the existing canopy.
In addition to the 35 RCA.
Well, they're sort of like
They'd sort of overlap.
layer.
Yep.
Yeah. Like one is just the amount of physical ground you see, and the other would be the canopy above it.
So you would take, just fleshing this out, you would take the 35% tree coverage standard and say this minimum acreage has to be tree canopy, but then that can also count for RCA.
I'm not sure how exactly it's
Yeah.
applied. So the zoning condition
Yeah.
says the project shall preserve a minimum of 35% of the existing tree canopy.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know how many projects have had that and it been, it's more of just if you can put some guidance in there, the recommendation about it can or can't count as RCA. I think if it,
Well, it can. Well,
yeah,
the way this thing reads, I think it can include RCA.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It can.
okay. I thought so. I
Yeah.
just wanted.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not
sorry.
limited to
So
RCA.
asking, yes,
Yeah.
it can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, RCA.
All right. Any other comments, thoughts, or questions?
If I may.
Yes, please.
So with all this new development, how are the schools going to be able to accommodate all the new students? I know it's probably beyond the scope
Yeah,
of this
that's
place.
sort of beyond the purview of.
Yeah, because it's been everywhere I've lived. It's been a problem.
Yeah, well, I can answer it because we've been dealing with it for 5 years in Apex, and so over the last 4 or 5 years, I think it was maybe 21 or 22 when town council said we've got to hold on zoning cases because we've got to figure out the school issue. Well, several new schools have been built since then, and Wake County has been very aggressive in finding new school sites. And so, I mean, there are obviously still capacity issues, but I think the view of council before, I don't know what the view is now or what it will be, but was that's sort of Wake County's purview, and they have improved on the issue with these new school sites. I know there's Felton Grove High School in this area, and there are several new schools in this area, even though some of those are already capped. And so it is an ongoing issue, but the county is dealing with it. So,
Thank you.
yep.
I'm just going to throw in one more. Number 3, no buffer averaging shall be allowed for zone 3 of the riparian buffers. Okay, so we have quite a number of, yes, they have a lot to choose from to go forward with. Is there a motion that we suggest these conditions?
Oh,
The only other question I had was, did we want to do something about that buffer B? Do we want to make a recommendation that it stays as an A buffer instead of a B buffer, even with the increased width? We kind of touched on that, but we didn't say anything.
I like to see A buffers, but I know staff has pushed back, unfortunately. But then I go down this, I go down towards Villages of Apex, and I look at some of these B buffers, and they're wide open.
Yeah, in this case, though, I mean, if they do a good job of preserving what's
Yeah.
there, it's going to be pretty thick.
And I totally agree, if there is stuff there.
Yeah.
I mean, down towards Villages of Apex, I had staff push back. I was trying to get A buffer along that road, and staff wanted to see B, so I lost. And then I go look at what B buffer is, and it's almost like 5 telephone poles per acre. You know, it's a nothing.
Was that buffer, Mr. Jensen, was that planted, or was there tree cover there before?
And to your,
I really don't
arguing,
know.
No, it was mass graded, I think. So it was new, but
and so we can't grade in these buffers. So where there's,
I understand where you're heading.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with the increased distance width versus not trying to jam, you know, I mean,
Yeah, I know
end
you
up
don't want to
hurting
jam.
the existing trees.
I still have trouble with, you know, you got an adult tree here, here, and here, and then what are you going to plant in between? You're not going to knock those adult tree down, so you can plant a.
Well, I mean, it's hard because you're changing the ecology anyway. You're opening
Yeah,
it
you
up
are.
to light, and you're thinning it out, and
Okay.
yeah. So, what are your thoughts, Sean? Are you?
No, I'm
okay
good with
that?
leaving it. I just
Okay.
thought we were,
Okay,
it was an open item, so.
thank you. Yeah. Let's leave it. Okay. Yeah. So the 20-foot B, I think we are okay with. Okay. Is there a motion to? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I turned around, I don't have a mic. Just for the sake of the minutes and Matthew's sake as well, can I go over the numbers that I have?
Oh, yes, please do, yes.
Right. Number 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 13, 15, 16, 20, 23A or B, 27, 28, 30, and 39.
Goal 17,
And 17?
yes.
Yep. Thank you, Nora. And for number 8, it's the 25-year storm is what we were recommending. And then I believe 9 was 35%.
Was there something more specific on the solar?
And
I've got it from, I think, from Mr. Jensen.
We decided it's 10% of the total number of houses, I think is what you suggested. I'm good with that.
3.5. Yeah, kills.
And 3.5, that's minimal. I mean, that's 10 panels. Not even
Okay.
that.
All right, so is there a motion to suggest the conditions?
I'll make the motion.
All right, Sean.
I'll second it.
All right, Bill.
this along.
Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay. So now, next new business item is Tree Talk Part 1, tree canopy policies in and around Apex.
No, they let it happen every time.
I'm gonna go ahead and apologize because this is very long.
Don't apologize, there's a lot to cover.
There is a lot.
Property owners, wow. Oh, yeah, I'm talking about the buyers. Everybody wants that.
right. So we've been talking about this for a while. This is something that has been brought up to me by staff. It's been requested that now that the EAB has absorbed the tree cap responsibilities, that we just go over anything and everything in our town code, in the UDO, that relates to trees. And tonight, this is just going to be an overview. We're probably going to run out of time as well. So we don't have to think about any amendments or changes that we want to make tonight. Keep that in the back of your mind, and we'll come back on September meeting. So a little bit of background. So for the sake of anyone watching on the live stream, and just to put it out there, what is an urban tree canopy? The canopy is the layer of leaves and branches that provide shade. And urban tree canopy is the percent of the land area covered by tree canopy. And that includes natural, so vegetated areas, and impervious surfaces. So parking lots, greenways, all that good stuff. So in 2023, Wake County published their tree canopy assessment. This was a study that they had done for 10 years, so it ran from 2010 to 2020, and they looked at different municipalities around Wake County and their tree canopy numbers and how they were doing overall. And so Apex, our report that we got back, in the Apex planning jurisdiction, we lost about 2,000 acres of tree canopy. So that was a 15% decrease in total canopy, and then a 9% decline overall in our canopy cover related to land area. And the tree canopy in Apex is estimated to be worth around $131 million. So that was a big loss to us, obviously. Based on the structural value, so they defined that as the carbon sequestration that the trees provide, and then annual ecosystem services values. So think water quality, air quality, and again, carbon sequestration. And I will say that during this time, this was when the highway was put in Apex. So our numbers are relatively high compared to different areas, but that's why. So, why tree canopy matters? I think we're all fairly aware of this. Obviously, our trees improve our water and air quality. They help to reduce heat island effect, enhance our property values and our aesthetic appeal. They absorb our carbon dioxide, reduce stormwater runoff, support our native biodiversity, and then obviously they benefit public health. We love them. They're great to be under them. And we know that preserving tree canopy is a community priority here in Apex. So we are a Tree City partner. We've been a partner for 9 years. Now you guys are the tree cap. In our game plan Apex, our strategic plan, we do have an environmental leadership goal, and it's for the next 5 years we're committing to sustaining natural resources and sustaining environmental well-being. We have our Plant to Peak program. We've installed over 500 trees since 2021 for private families. And then in our EarthVest survey that we just did this past April, our #1 concern for citizens was tree canopy loss. So we know that this is important. So again, just to make sure we're all on the same page, we're going to talk about a couple different regulatory tools. The North Carolina General Statutes, that applies to the entire state, obviously North Carolina. Our Code of Ordinances, that applies to the town, both public and private lands. And then our UDO, that applies to our town and the ETJ. So our general statutes. I tried to summarize, if you guys knew how many pages this document was. This is over 100 pages of the longest text you've ever read. You've seen most of it in the file that I uploaded in the agenda packet. I tried to whittle it down. We don't have to go through it all. I'll send you the presentation later. You can look through it up until September. But we'll just point out some of the really important ones. The North Carolina General Statutes has a tree injury statute. Can't willfully damage trees. People have the right to protect their forestry from nuisance lawsuits. And then this big one obviously allows local government to regulate trees on public or private land. That's 160D, so that's what gives us the right to do the work we're doing. So jumping into our town code. So first up in our ordinances, in our charter, the town may regulate trees on public or private land. That is from that 160D in the North Carolina General Statutes. And then in chapter 2, that's about you guys. So to sum it up, that article talks about how you guys are playing a critical role in protecting our existing trees, encouraging new tree plantings, ensuring that trees remain a priority here in Apex. And now you guys are responsible for the duties related to maintaining Tree City and Bee City designations. We have quite a few different ordinances about tree damage. They all summarize to basically unauthorized tree damage is not allowed in cemeteries, in our streets, or in parks. And then open burning is also prohibited for logs, brush, and leaves. This is another big one. In Chapter 18, the town has the authority over trees and other vegetation in public areas. Maintenance is carried out by staff with input from the tree board, which is now you guys, and the town council can review the tree board's actions. And again, it's illegal for anyone to damage or remove public trees or plants without authorization. So UDO, this is the really big one. So our tree protection ordinances, first off, before we get into that, there's a section in section 2 about planning board, and it says that the planning board can recommend tree appearance awards. It's my understanding from staff that that hasn't been done since COVID, and it seems like something that the tree board should now be in charge of. So if we want to make amendments in the UDO to change that and take that over from the planning board, we could talk about that.
What would the award, like, what was it? What was it?
I think it's just like an honorary, like, citizens send in a tree that they love, and then they vote on their favorite. We'll get into some other municipalities that do that. Yep.
What are the, what's the criteria?
Honestly, I have no idea. Don't know.
Let's put that in
What I
the future
thought.
Yeah.
presentation, maybe.
But I know that was done. And I don't know if anyone on the planning board knows.
There was no maps or like data collected on where and what and no pictures.
Not that I know of. Do you know of anything, Bruce?
Can't imagine them ever doing it.
Huh.
It's in
Okay.
there. Yep. The next section talks about the planning director, Diane. It says that she has the right to approve tree protection fencing, and that fencing requires flagged trees and a pre-installation inspection, and those inspections are done by the zoning compliance officers. And then usually the planners are those approving the tree removal permits. And then there's another whole section about our tree removal plan, and that also, I think it's together in our UDO with a stormwater, is it a pond plan? Kind of pond. We focus on the tree removal part. So you need a permit to remove any trees above 8-inch calipers. There are exemptions for single-family homes, for duplexes. You go through the application process. The zoning compliance officers go do the tree survey, and then the technical review committee approves those permits. And there is a penalty if you just remove trees without the permit. It can delay your development approvals for 3 to 5 years. And the way that I was told that works is if you unknowingly removed a tree, it's probably going to be 3 years delay, but if you willingly did it, then you're probably getting the 5 years. Have they had to do that recently, Bruce?
I don't deal with a lot of the violations, but I haven't come across any plans that were suffering from that effect, yeah.
Would this apply to, say, HOA common property and?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Would it apply to like HOA common property? I mean, that doesn't seem to be
So typically the HOA common property would probably fall under the RCA or buffers or requirements there. So that would be protected and they wouldn't be allowed to do that. So any violation there would trigger some kind of notice of violation or kind of fee or fine until it's replaced. Yeah. This is more like someone going and having commercially zoned property and going in and deciding to clear it without getting a tree removal permit first. Yes, sir.
All right. Moving on to what we talked a lot about tonight. So RCA is required for most of our development applications. Talking about the eligibility, there is a size requirement. I didn't include it on here, but there is a size for off-site RCA. For on-site or to qualify at all, the areas have to include one of the following: undisturbed forested areas, undisturbed wildlife or plant habitat, undisturbed non-vegetated land newly planted with diverse native species, or there are other non-tree related options, like undisturbed riparian streams, could be a historic site. There are a few more, I just didn't list them all. But that they are referenced in that big long packet if you want to go through it. And then the planting requirements for the off-site RCA: within 50 feet of the right-of-way, you need 75% large trees, 25% understory. Beyond 50 feet, you need the Society of American Foresters reforestation plan with, on average, 400 to 700 seedlings per acre. So more RCA, this is all Section 8. Again, you need that tree survey. It's required for all RCA areas and buffers. You have to identify any specimen trees that are above 18 inches on the site and in the perimeter. There are requirements for protection during construction. You have to have protective fencing before you grade. The critical root zone fencing protection. It's 1 foot from trunk per inch of the diameter of breast height. And then no construction, grading, or any other activity within the fenced area. More RCA. So the town encourages the protection of both large and small vegetation for long-term tree canopy growth. Tree removal is prohibited inside the RCA unless it's exempted. It must be replaced if you remove it. Outside of the RCA, trees must be preserved to the maximum extent feasible, especially for buffering. Tree removal for aesthetic views is not allowed. And then tree root protection during grading, trenching, and filling is required. Moving on to our streetscapes and medians. Subdivisions with more than 50 homes require tree planted medians. Trees have to be selected from our design and development manual, which is on the town website. You can look at that as well. Landscaping and buffers, so invasive or nuisance species can be removed on a case-by-case basis. And then there is an ordinance that says native or adapted species are required. So I was kind of interested about that with what we're talking to town council about. That is in there, but I'm guessing that's for like developer based, not really what we're talking about with like the town campus. Mm-hmm. But that is in there, and it says required. Specific landscaping minimums are based on development types, including what trees and shrubs you can put per square footage or lot. And then the thoroughfare buffers must be 30 to 50 feet wide. You need to have 1 large and 2 small trees per 1,000 square foot disturbed area. Tree replacement. So there's a little bit that talks about replacement. For tree replacement, preserved vegetation that acts as the required element. Like there could be an option for parking or building materials. If trees are damaged during construction or if they die within 2 years, they must be replaced per the standards in the section. And then there are...
Sorry, how do we enforce that?
Yeah, who's going around checking the status of these?
Zoning compliance?
Unfortunately, with a lot of zoning issues, if they've received their CO, it's going to be complaint driven. If a tree is taken out, things like that. If they've not received it, their temporary certificate of occupancy our zoning compliance officers are making regular visits to the site to ensure that the plantings are in. So if one dies before they get their certificate of occupancy to continue on, our zoning officers will make a note and have them replace it at the time. But again, if it's after that, it's a complaint-driven process.
Well, and that's why we're going over it now. So if you have thoughts or ideas, think about it.
What enforcement? Once it's been complained and somebody goes out, then what's the penalty for them not doing something, I guess?
I'm not aware of the fee amount per se. I can find that out for you and provide that to you later on. But
There is a fee or something then.
usually there's a warning, there's a notice that you're in violation and that you should correct it. Typically, most jurisdictions will try to get the problem resolved before fining, but if it's unresolved, they will pursue fees. Yeah.
Well, and this does mention that there is a fine, 20 foot or $20 per square foot of disturbed area, max 40,000. And then any replaced or damaged removed trees over 8-inch calipers, you have to replace with greater than or equal to the original caliper size.
$20 per square foot is a damn lot. Used to be able to build a house for that.
So for our parking area, that we do have shading requirements. No part of the lot further than 40 feet from large trees or 20 foot from smaller trees, and then at least 35% of the parking lot must be shaded at maturity. For the buffers, you need 8-foot planting strips and 10 to 60 foot wide perimeter buffers to separate vehicles from adjacent lots. There are incentives to go along with this, so additional trees allow for reductions in parking minimums. That goes up to a max of 10%. And then if you do exceed your max parking, you have to plant 1 large tree per 10 extra spaces.
Once again, I guess 35%. It seems like quite a bit, but you go into a parking lot and there's the one token tree
Yeah,
where everybody's trying to park their cars under.
yeah.
And how do we,
So overall, policing and enforcing seems to be an issue.
yeah,
So,
it just,
Or they're old parking lots, right? They could be just old developments that have this.
Yeah, they would be
yeah.
grandfathered.
And I guess, you're talking 35%. If you have a 2.5-inch diameter caliper tree, is it calculated when that tree is supposed to be full size?
20 years later,
Which means,
25 years. So
Yeah.
were these followed with the new lot on Salem Street? Like, did the town follow this?
Assuming they did, right?
I will have to verify that for you. Ideally, they would follow their own regulations. Yes.
I believe
Which
the town
lot?
council- sorry to interrupt. We've asked the staff to bring us, if we're going to violate our own ordinances, to make sure the council knows about it and like has to vote on it.
I think that's a requirement.
I don't believe we voted on anything with that. So, yeah.
Got a couple electric vehicle ordinances. So EV charging equipment shall be placed outside of the critical root zone for any preserved tree. And then EV charging equipment shall be placed at least 5 feet from a newly planted tree. Some planting bed requirements, so 1 planting bed per 200 feet or 200 foot of private sidewalk with 1 tree, and then mulch or ground cover required. And then for lighting, light poles must be 10 to 20 feet from tree trunks, and then no permanent decorative lighting on trees unless it's temporary. And those are on town-owned trees.
How was permanent decorative lighting temporary?
I guess if you believe Christmas lights up, but then you don't take them down and they grow in the tree. I don't know. I don't really know what permanent temporary means. That's something we can write down to
Yeah, I
think about, though.
just seems a little.
Okay, so that I'm pretty sure that's everything that we have in our town code and the UDO. And so I think the next part of this, and we can do more of this in our September meeting, is to kind of go over what are people doing regionally. So what's going on in other communities. So this is just a very basic overview of a lot of different communities. I actually talked to the urban forester that works for Wake Forest Monday. So that was a great conversation. They've got some really cool stuff going on. In their code of ordinances, they have a whole article that's just called trees. So that's their Article 2. In the UDO, they have a chapter that's just about trees. It's called Tree Preservation, Buffers and something, but it's mainly about trees. And they do have minimum tree canopy coverage benchmarks that the town has to meet. And there are different benchmarks for rural areas and high density areas. So I thought that was pretty neat. Their oversight bodies, just to see how we add up or shape up to them, they have a whole urban forestry division, which I say whole, but it's 5 people, but that's way more than our division, which is nothing. And they have an urban forestry board, which is what you guys are now acting as. For the tree honors, they do Tree City as well. They have a Tree of the Year award, which I think is equivalent to our Tree Appearance award that we no longer do. And then they do name historic trees. And then they have a neat tree protection system. So they do a tree credit system. It's to save their specimen trees. They have a different number credit for the caliper size. Going up to 42 inches and up, you get 4 credits. And those credits can be applied toward the baseline tree canopy requirements that exist in their tree protection areas. So that's pretty neat. I think that was about it. Oh, they have a wooded area preservation credit system as well. But that's something for us to look into, is if we want to have a credit system.
Do they have a town tree nursery or anything like that? We've talked about that here.
I don't think they do, but I have been in contact with the Cary Tree Archive. And they want to make an apex tree archive somewhere. Don't know where it's going to end up, but they're looking into that.
They want to do a tree nursery, you're saying?
Yep.
Not
So-
a nursery, an archive.
Like an archive.
What?
Well, I think
Not a-
they do want to do an archive, but they are also
Oh, a
talking about a nursery. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yep. I don't know when or where this will happen, but it's in
Okay.
the talks. Yep.
Great.
I think permanent temporary means that they are not permanently installed, but they are removed from the tree and reinstalled or replaced at least twice per year. So they have to go up twice a year. That makes it permanent, but they're temporary.
Okay.
Interesting.
Where'd you?
That would be 8.6.4B.
Okay.
He was ignoring all the Wake Forest stuff. He was thinking about that the whole time. I'm pretty sure.
I needed to share that.
So Cary does have an urban forest master plan. It was adopted in 2023. That's a whole document that we can look into in September. They also have a community appearance manual, which is like our design and development manual. But I really liked the schematics that they included in theirs. I think we have some as well, but I mean, I love how this took up the whole page. It's very detailed, explaining how to plant trees. Their oversight bodies, they have a tree advisory committee, and it's also a part of the EAB in Cary. Tree honors, they do Tree City as well, and then they have a Champion Trees program, which is similar to a lot of these other municipalities, having some kind of champion tree or tree appearance program. Tree protections,
I looked at Cary's tree planting thing. Can we just link to that somehow? I mean,
I don't see
they've
why
already done all
not.
the work, and it is. I think it's a very good one.
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't. Or at least I could reach out and see what they would be willing to share.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, yep, for sure.
That's what every regulatory agency does everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Steal other people's regs, so.
Yep.
It's,
That's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, it's just efficient.
Their tree protections, so any lost champion trees have to be replaced inch for inch. And they have 150% credit towards planting requirements for replacement trees. For off-site plantings are allowed if on-site is not feasible for their developments. And they have a very specific clear cutting ordinance. So it's clear cutting is prohibited without a plan or a tree clearing certificate. So I just thought it was neat that they laid that out specifically. Charlotte is doing a really cool program for street tree care, and we can get into that more in September as well. For their governing documents in their code of ordinances, they also have a whole chapter on trees, chapter 21. In their UDO, they have an article that is mainly about tree protection. It's their landscaping, screening, and tree protection article. They're also a tree city. I think most people are by now. They have Crown Tree Awards, which is again like an appearance award. And they also have a heritage tree program. They have a tree advisory commission. And the funding structure for their programs is really interesting. So I talked to Tara, I can't remember her last name, but she runs the tree canopy programs for Charlotte. That was a really great conversation. They're doing some cool stuff. So they have a tree conservation fund. It's for their preserved lands. And they have a street tree planting fund for those public street trees. And those programs are funded with this Canopy Care Fund. So if developers can't preserve tree canopy, they pay into all these different funds. And their funds support that land conservation. They have urban arboretum trails, and they're doing a program that's kind of like Plant the Peak, but they go a step further. They actually go and plant the trees. They come back every year, they maintain the trees. They train different landscapers in the town to go do this for Charlotte. So they're doing a lot. It's pretty cool. And then they have a tree canopy action plan that's in their 2040 comprehensive plan. And all of this is just a quick rundown, but we can look into more of anything that you guys are interested in next month.
Question about the Tree City designation. Do we know if we're currently meeting all of the minimum requirements? I believe at one point that was, maybe we weren't.
I think we are now. There's 4 requirements. One is that we have a tree board. One is that we have our Arbor Day proclamation. We did that at Earth Day this year. And you have to plant a tree at that, I believe. Mm-hmm. One is that we're spending, basically the gist is we're spending money on trees, which we are because we have the Plant the Peak program. And then there's one more, but I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure we're meeting them all now. But that doesn't mean we couldn't be doing more.
Would it be possible to send this slideshow to us?
Yeah, I'll send this to y'all afterwards.
White County has a tree planting program where they're planting, I think, seedling trees all over.
Oh,
and
cool.
They've done it aerials, and they're saying, you know, all these little trees that they planted, it's shifting the landscape.
Oh.
I don't know whether that would be something we might consider to
Yeah, that'd be good.
work with them.
I'll write that down. Okay, Raleigh. So in Raleigh's UDO, they have tree protection and replacement standards in their tree preservation article. So again, they have a whole article that's just about tree preservation. They have a city tree manual that's like our design and development manual. And they have their urban forestry program. So that's a lot of staff members. Probably they're doing things that we could not do for a while, but that's what you get when you're a big city. They are a Tree City USA. They have that Tree of the Year program. And a couple unique legislation pieces they have. So for unauthorized tree removal, removal of city-owned trees without permission requires replacement. And then if replacement isn't feasible, a fee of $100 per inch. So I thought that $100 that's a lot. That's really good. And they also have a fee in lieu of condition. So if you can't accommodate any tree replacement, you pay into their urban forestry program. And they have a fund for that as well, kind of like Charlotte. So, didn't take as long as I thought it would. That's good. Summarize, we already have a strong start. We have a lot of ordinances about trees. We could, make some amendments, make some changes. Now you guys are acting tree board, and we are a tree city. So, we're not completely hopeless. We do have our opportunity to expand our canopy goals, to learn from our regional partners. And then next month is really when I wanted to dive into more of what are other municipalities doing, what are our next moves need to look like, what do we want to do, and also Trees for the Triangles coming next month to present. So they're going to talk about the programs that they're doing, the work they're doing in Wake County, with Cary, with the Cary Tree Archive, so we'll hear from them as well. But until then, I'll send this presentation to you guys. Take the month and think about things you want to see, what we can do. Again, it's just me, Philip Barnes is our town arborist, and then planning folks. So it might not be feasible to implement everything else that those big cities are doing, but we can try. We can make a start. So yeah.
So do you want us to just look at this and provide you feedback at the next meeting, or do you want it in advance of the meeting so that we can talk about?
If you are ready, you can email me your thoughts, what you're thinking.
Like any ideas for?
Yeah, I'll add it all in.
There's some things in there that you talked about that I really think we should be looking into.
Yeah, I mean, it's not mandatory. Don't worry about it if you don't. But yeah, if you have thoughts and you want to write them down and send them off, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, and we have to keep in mind some things may or may not be feasible based on the General Assembly's regulation of local municipalities.
True.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, did they, there was some legislation that they passed this year, I think, that.
Yeah, about not amending.
Can and cannot do.
Right.
Mainly what they cannot do.
Yeah, I think there was.
I can't remember the details of it.
I don't remember it either. But we'll see.
But I think there's probably plenty we can do.
Yeah, most of this was ordinance based, but like next time if we want to talk about programming, like we already have Plant the Peak, like we can think of non-regulated
I think we
initiatives.
Can do, like community outreach and education too.
Yeah, yep. And that, I think Trees for the Triangle, they'll hit on that well. That's a lot of what they do.
They could make a good presentation.
Yeah, yep. All right.
Awesome.
Well, that was it. And my mic doesn't work for some reason, so I'm just going to stay here with this mic.
All right. Well, that was a lot of work putting that together. I appreciate that.
A lot of information.
So the next item we have, I wanted us to start thinking about giveaway items for our next outreach event. I think we've pretty much come to the conclusion the leftover stuff we have is probably too old to continue with. And so if we need things branded or we need, I don't know, other aspects to just ordering things, we should probably start thinking about that now. So in the past, we have had the little fan things that sort of doubled as our contact information. It had like the website, on the handle of it, you could plant the handle and grow some flowers. I don't know if that ever worked. So we had that we've given away. We've given away small little planters, and I think the ones that were probably most successful were the sunflowers, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of fun, and I feel like those were a popular item, though not maybe a native sunflower. Well, not native to specifically here, but when they grew, they are providing seeds for birds. So I think that might be a good item. Also, we have given away reusable silverware, and that was a more expensive item, but also pretty popular. Last Earth Day, Ellison at her booth, and she's the volunteer coordinator, but was sort of doing the pollinator garden stuff. She was giving away seed packets of purple coneflower and black-eyed Susan, which are native plants, and they're pretty easy to grow, but I don't think we would want, if we did seed packets, would want to do the exact same thing, because then you end up with a monoculture of these things on the landscape, and they can get diseases. So that's also something else that has been given away. And she also had a number of other really cool items. I don't remember exactly what they all were. They were like some sort of reusable,
Like a paper towel.
paper towel replacement.
Yeah.
But so what are your all's thoughts? Like, what do you think would be fun that people
What's
could
the budget?
grab? That's a good question.
Last year, I think the budget was 2,000. I don't maintain the budget, so I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure it was 2,000 last year, so it'd probably be about the same for coming up this year.
And will we be buying enough for multiple years? Because we had those other products that just kind of sat and
Yeah,
lasted forever.
yeah.
So we're just doing for 1 year.
That's a good thing that we should think about how much to buy. You know, I think there was 1 year where we had to pay a setup fee for the logo with the vendor.
Okay.
So I guess if you use, I don't know if you use the same vendor year over year.
No, you're still gonna pay the setup fee.
You will, okay,
Yeah,
so that was
yeah.
some, so I mean, if we were worried about things going bad and it was a wash on the price, maybe we just order enough to get us through festival seasons and then get more swag the following year.
Something that I've done at booths, I don't know how y'all feel about this, it's not the most sustainable, but we had a button maker. So there's a lot of little pieces of plastic, but I mean, you can reuse the maker every year, and people loved it. If you have a little design, they can cut it out and push it down and take a button home. So that was fun, yeah.
Yeah. How much do button makers cost and all the
They're
products?
kind of expensive.
Oh, you do think they're expensive?
I think they're at least like 100 or 200.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, terrible.
yeah. And then you got to buy the button supplies, but
Yeah.
That's more like an activity.
yeah.
As opposed to just like a giveaway.
Yeah.
For someone.
But
I
if
don't
we
know,
wanted
the
people to come
adults just-
look at our table, then that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just like things to just grab and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, Wake Forest at their last Forest Fest gave away seedlings,
Whole plants.
oak, birch, and other trees for people to plant in Wake Forest for their forest, I guess.
Were they
Like
in
probably like
pots, or were they
they're
the
small little
seedlings?
seedling. It would be a seedling, something cheap like Arbor Day and things like that. There are a lot of organizations that give those away for give outs for
Yeah.
different types of fests.
We gave out
We did.
some of that stuff.
yeah, the maple trees.
Bill-
I got rid of 18 trees, 1 gallon containers.
Yeah.
And it's gonna outgrow that container. This just
Yeah,
just
yeah.
about already outgrown it.
Oh, did you get one?
Yeah, I got.
Oh,
one.
good,
It's-
good.
it's, I'm gonna plant it next month sometime.
Super.
Those were neat.
I was surprised that the people took them.
Yeah, and the birdhouses, those were a hit.
Yeah.
Where do you get
Yeah.
them?
But that was all like free. We didn't
Yeah.
have to buy that
I
stuff.
got them from seeds.
It's
I
very
just
popular.
grew them.
Yeah, so if we're gonna give them away, you need like a crap lot of them.
And that might not be the best thing for little, tiny, like smaller friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I like the sunflower pots, because they seem pretty robust and they did survive year after year compared to some of the, I think, the other plants.
So can we get some of those, but like branded?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that we can. Yeah.
I would like. I think
I've
that
seen
would be
little
a
like
good
herb
idea.
seed starter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, is like herb kits and
Yeah, we did have some of
compostable-
those as well.
compostable pods
The
kind of thing.
sunflowers and the herbs.
Those other sticks. We shouldn't do that
No.
again.
Where-
No.
Those need to be
Just gone.
discarded.
Yeah.
Well, now I think they're all being stored like in an unconditioned space out
Yeah.
in the back of the
Yeah.
new planning building.
What about like pocket field
Show me where it
guides?
is and I can.
Or pocket field guides for like invasive
Oh, that'd be
plants
cool.
and stuff like that. There's a whole like, you could do birds, plants, invasive species.
Are they expensive?
I'm not seeing a price. I was just that's what I.
I mean, that is.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
cool
that
idea.
idea.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Do we have a vendor where we are required to work with?
Usually we work with promotional partners,
Yeah, downtown.
but
If we
like I don't know where Ellison ordered
had
her
some dates
stuff.
in mind, we could maybe.
Could you find out where Ellison sourced her some of her
Yeah.
stuff from? Because
Yeah.
that didn't seem to be like the normal
that-
complement of what
Yeah.
promotional partners
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
Um,
contact who does is very focused on sustainability. She's usually a little high on the budget side, so I don't know if she'd have anything in our range, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Worth it to look into.
see. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is just something to think about as we go forward, because I'm anticipating the first big festival will be Earth Fest again. Is that going to happen again?
Yeah.
Okay, in April.
In April.
And you know, it seems far away, but
But it's
it will come upon us very quickly.
Yep.
We don't
Well,
have
and
to
like
worry.
last year things got held up coming internationally, so that was
Correct.
yeah, definitely want to
and do we
order
usually
early.
volunteer at that and like man a booth or
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty short festival. It's only 4 hours long, as opposed to like Peak Fest, which is like from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Yeah, in the past, we don't have to discuss an educational topic now, but in the past couple years, we've done a recycling game. It's like you spin a wheel, you get an item, you say, does it go in recycling, trash,
Oh, yeah.
compost? And I think there's
It's been a
one-
hit.
Yeah, it's been a hit.
With
People-
the tree cap, we had a board, like a trifold board that had some like tree jokes and other educational things. So some of the people thought the tree jokes were kind of fun. You
Okay.
know, the kids would come by and mostly they wanted giveaways of some sort. But a fair amount of people had questions actually about tree maintenance and care. So usually Philip and his team were there. They would rotate like for however many hours. We would have an arborist there for at least one arborist every hour.
Okay.
Just something to think about.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can totally change, our topic. One year we also did invasive plants or non-native.
Native versus invasive.
Yeah, native versus non-native, and we actually had examples. One of the board members ran around and collected, so people could see what they actually looked like.
I don't know if this is official yet, but I think the theme this year is going to be pollinators.
Okay, so there's a
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
There's a thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we're doing in town is going to be focused on pollinators in the upcoming year, so I think we're trying to loop that into
We
Earthfest.
don't want to overlap too much. though.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. Do you know,
That's the
like,
problem. We need to coordinate.
yeah,
with-
we need
Yeah.
more coordination. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just an idea that's thrown out. So obviously things can change, but I think it'll be like pollinator themed.
Okay. I mean,
Good with that.
Okay, so let's put on our thinking caps
Yep.
as we go into next month, and then let's see if we can confirm our budget, and then vendor possibilities, and then once we know that, perhaps we can see what their catalog looks like. And I think there's general agreement with some sort of little planter thing with herbs or sunflowers. and in addition to other items.
When do you recommend that we need to like order stuff? By like January, December? Like, when do we need to make all final decisions?
I feel like we should know by December and maybe order by January.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Y'all have any other items related to the festival, outreach, or anything else for open discussion? All right, well, our next meeting is September 18th. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
A second? Yeah. All right, all in favor? All right, we are adjourned, 7:42 p.m. Thank you all so much for your time tonight, and thank you, Nora, for the excellent presentation.
Great
And keeping
presentation,
track of
Nora.
all of those zoning conditions.